Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. Now, October 7th, 2023 was a dark day for Israel when Hamas stormed a music festival and took 250 people hostage and killed about 1,200 people. With this began a war that not only rocked the geopolitics of Middle East, that's West Asia, but also stunned the world. As the world remembers this deadliest day in history, talks for peace have begun in Egypt between Israel and the Hamas. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, Qatar and Turkey have agreed to mediate. The talks, which entered the second day, are expected to last a few more days. What's the next roadmap for the displaced Gazans and the remaining 48 hostages believed to be alive? Here's a report by Mahashweta Lala.
October 7th, the day when Israel faced the gravest attack on its soil by Hamas, where more than 250 people were taken hostages and 1,200 were killed. The Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, paraglided and launched attack on people gathered at Supernova Sukkot gathering, an open-air music festival during a Jewish holiday near Kibbutz Reim. 2 years since Israel has launched counterattacks, both air and ground, on Gaza, vowing to eliminate Hamas. But the Palestinians and Israeli hostages are the collateral damage. Ceasefire agreements were violated. Talks failed as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continued his war to wipe out Hamas from the face of the earth. One of the major campaign promises of President Donald Trump has been the end of two major wars: Israel-Gaza and Russia-Ukraine. Trump and cabinet have been vocal about Israel defending its sovereignty and avenging the October 7th massacre. But they have also spoken about Gaza's future and a better life for displaced Palestinians. As direct talks between Hamas and Israel enters the second day in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh, President Trump is optimistic that deal will be done soon. He also rubbished a report by Axios, which said that Trump, during a phone call, asked Prime Minister Netanyahu not to be negative.
It was reported by Axios over the weekend that you had a call with Prime Minister Netanyahu where you told him to stop being so negative and to take the win when it came to Hamas's response to that. Is that true?
No, it's not true. He's been very positive. He's been very positive on the deal. Everybody is. I think every nation is. We have just about every nation working on this deal and trying to get it done. Something that you could say 3,000 years if you look at it in certain ways, or you could say centuries, but this is a deal that incredibly, everyone just came together. They all came together. No, Israel's been great. They've all been good, Caitlin.
Hamas said it agrees to several of the 20-point peace plan, but has not responded to some of the key points, which includes its disarmament and not having a future role in Gaza's governance. As the world mourns the ghastly attack and leaders remember it, families of hostages and the dead await for the return of the remaining 48, believed to be alive.
What will it give me? My daughter? I have already paid my price. If there will be a ceasefire or there will not be a ceasefire, how does it matter? That the terrorists sit in detention cells and get good food and thick mattresses, and we sit here and cry here every day instead of giving us answers?
One of the demands that Hamas has put forth is that bombardment in Gaza should stop. But as talks for peace is ongoing, a series of blasts shook Gaza with thick columns of smoke rose over the Palestinian enclave. Israeli tanks, boats and jets pounded parts of Gaza, giving Palestinians no respite. Meanwhile, many in Israel have questioned Netanyahu's military offensive against Palestinian civilians. The talks are expected to continue for a few more days, but the future of Gaza seems bleak. Will peace return, and will the displaced Palestinians find their way back home? With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
While diplomacy is finally being given a chance, it is after Palestinians were brought to their knees, not just the Hamas. What is the cost of war? On Statecraft tonight, we discuss what has Israel achieved in these 2 years and what Palestine has forever lost.
Allahu Akbar!
2 years have passed since October 7th, 2023, that unforgettable day when Hamas fighters crossed Gaza's fortified borders, killed nearly 1,200 innocent Israelis, and took 251 hostages. Yes, a dark day, truly horrific, and one that left Israel reeling. Trauma, fear, grief, the country felt it all. Of course, no one can or should downplay the suffering of those families. But let's take a moment and marvel at Israel's response. 2 years of brilliant strategy under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a man who promised to recover hostages, destroy Hamas, and restore security.
Even before the current fugitive from justice, the Israeli Prime Minister was strengthening Hamas.
The result? Well, let's just go through them point by point. Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. Israel's campaign has been relentless, a 2-year war fought not just on the ground, but in the air, on television screens, and in diplomatic chambers. Netanyahu declared from day one that his war was not just a war against Hamas, but a war for Israel's future. Yet 2 years later, the future looks uncertain, scarred, and far from secure. Netanyahu's government framed this war as an existential crusade, a test of Israel's resilience, strength, and moral authority. But as months turned into years, what was meant to be a show of power has turned into a showcase of exhaustion. Hostage recovery. Mission almost half-hearted. First, out of 251 hostages taken, only 148 have been returned alive. 8 rescued by the IDF and the remaining 140 released by Hamas in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians imprisoned in Israel. And of course, 48 remain, of which only 20 are thought to be alive. So yes, Netanyahu's track record in hostage recovery is, let's call it underwhelming. One might even say it's embarrassing. A 2-year campaign, hundreds of airstrikes, and Israel still can't bring everyone home. Eliminating the Hamas. Not quite. Second priority, destroy Hamas. Oh yes, mission accomplished. If your measure of success is killing some of their leaders and a few fighters, Ismail Haniyeh, Yahya Sinwar, gone. But Hamas still exists, still operates, and still launches rockets sometimes. In short, Israel has spent billions, bombed countless civilian areas, and Hamas is still very much alive. Israeli officials claim the group has been significantly degraded, but degraded doesn't mean destroyed. Gaza, total destruction for security. Third priority, 66,000 dead, an estimated 80% civilians, 169,000 injured, homes, hospitals, schools, and mosques leveled. Internally displaced persons, nearly 2 million. Famine, acute. So in terms of safety for civilians, Israel has achieved absolutely nothing. But hey, at least the bombings were precise, right? Or not? International condemnation, a masterclass. Fourth, if your goal is to isolate your country diplomatically, well, Netanyahu deserves a medal. Arrest warrants for war crimes issued by the International Criminal Court. The United Nations calling out genocide. Human rights organizations like B'Tselem and Physicians for Human Rights publicly denouncing Israel. And yes, South Africa even brought Israel to the International Court of Justice for violating the UN Genocide Convention. Quite the achievement in international relations. Weakening Israel's enemies, mixed bag. Fifth, Netanyahu claims to have weakened Israel's enemies. Hezbollah, partially weakened, though still capable. Houthis, still launching drones and missiles. Iran, some facilities damaged, sure, but let's not kid ourselves. Iran is far from neutralized. And Syria's Bashar Assad toppled by rebels, not by Israel's hand, but convenient collateral damage for Netanyahu's narrative of regional dominance. So yes, enemies weakened, but at what cost? The diplomatic tide has shifted. Nations once hesitant now openly advocate for a two-state solution. Even American lawmakers have started questioning unconditional aid to Israel. Israel's moral isolation has turned into diplomatic isolation. The narrative has changed from Israel defending itself to Israel destroying Gaza. And for Palestinians, global sympathy, long elusive, has surged. Tel Aviv's streets have turned into battlegrounds of their own, not with bombs, but with placards. Bring them home. Ceasefire now. Netanyahu resign. For a country that once prided itself on unity in crisis, the divisions are deeper than ever. Gaza burns, and the so-called guardians of the Arab cause look away, choosing stability over solidarity, silence over sacrifice. Israel has proven one thing. When it comes to military might, destruction, and global outrage, it is second to none. When it comes to solving the conflict, protecting civilians, or achieving peace, not so much. The United States has entered second week of shutdown and no consensus has been reached yet. Both parties' attempt to end the U.S. government shutdown failed during evening voting in the Senate on Monday. A Republican bill gathered 52 affirmative votes and 42 nays. Previously, the Democratic-led bill had 45 affirmative votes and 50 negative. 3/5 of the Senate were needed to approve the motions put forth. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was happy to work with Democrats on health care policy, but the shutdown must end first. Meanwhile, U.S. talks ended mixed on Monday. The shutdown has happened for the first time in 7 years. Essential workers like air traffic controllers and border patrol agents are continuing work without pay, while non-essential services like FTC, fraud reports, national parks and visa processing have paused.
It could, at some point it will, and the Democrats are the ones that started this, and if you think about it, it's about health care to a large extent. It's about, we want great health care for people. We don't want to give the money away to other people that come pouring into our country, and they've already poured because nobody's coming into our country. Now we have the border totally stopped. In fact, numbers we just announced again, we're at another zero. So we have zero for 4 months in a row. 0 people coming into our country illegally. That's a pretty good number. I'm not sure even I can believe that, Doug, if you want to know the truth. 0. We went from millions of people to 0, but it's pretty close to that number. And the way you stop them is not to give away, not to announce that you're giving everybody free health care, free this and that. But what that does, it affects the American people, because the American people are unable to get good health care. Obamacare has been a wreck, as you know, and to do that, we have to keep it propped up and do the best you can with it. It's a mess.
House and Senate Democrats have consistently made clear that we will sit down with anyone at any time and at any place, either here at the Capitol or over at the White House, to reopen the government, to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, and to address the Republican health care crisis. Well, the White House has gone radio silent since the Oval Office meeting last Monday, and neither Leader Schumer or myself have heard a word from the administration about resolving this issue, making clear to us that the White House wanted to shut the government down, to continue the chaos that they've been inflicting on the American people since day one of this presidency.
Pakistan has delivered its first ever shipment of rare earth and critical minerals to the United States of America following a deal signed last month with an American company to explore and develop the debt-ridden country's mineral resources. Now, the deal and the shipment have sparked protests in Pakistan, with the party of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, raising concerns over what it called secret deals with the US. The sample shipment that was shipped to the US includes antimony, copper concentrate, and rare earth elements such as neodymium and praseodymium, according to a report. The shipment of the samples comes after the White House released a picture of Donald Trump staring at a box with rocks that it described as rare earth minerals. Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir was explaining something to Trump as Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif looked on, smiling. Trump's youngest son, Barron Trump, who taught his dad a thing or two about crypto, is now worth a bit over $150 million. The NYU sophomore is making a fortune before he even turns 20. Barron Trump co-founded World Liberty Financial, a cryptocurrency company, with his father and older brothers last year, less than 2 months before the 2024 election. When Trump won, World Liberty exploded. Forbes estimates that it's added over $1.5 billion to the Trump family fortunes, about 10% of which, or $150 million, belongs to Barron Trump. Meanwhile, Eric Trump claimed Barron Trump has made him the runt of the family. Eric said this during the PBD podcast over the weekend. Eric called Barron tough as hell, vicious as hell, and a great friend. Barron is 6 feet 9 inches. President Donald Trump had earlier credited his youngest son's height to eating meals cooked by his wife Melanie's late mother. Trump revealed that he had urged Barron to become a basketball player, but the youngster did not want to. And let's take a look at some other stories from across the world in World at a Glance.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is appearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Bondi has faced criticism for her handling of the Epstein files. She is expected to be asked about the drone strikes on drug cartels and the use of military in US cities. German Foreign Minister spoke in favor of the deployment of international security forces in the Gaza Strip as part of a plan to end the devastating war. Israel and Hamas delegations are holding indirect talks in Egypt to end the 2-year war in Gaza. The newly elected mayor of a town in western Germany is in critical condition after a stabbing attack outside her home. Iris Stelzer, a 57-year-old mother of 2 teenagers, was found with life-threatening injuries and has been airlifted to hospital. US-based scientists John Clark and Michel Devoret and John Martins won the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics for experiments that revealed quantum physics in action. The Nobel winners carried out experiments in the mid-1980s with an electronic circuit built of superconductors and demonstrated that quantum mechanical properties could be made concrete on a much larger microscopic scale.
Vogue has just taken a strong step towards cruelty-free fashion, and it's making waves across the industry. Sujata Sharda decodes the story for us.
After being long lost from the fashion industry, fur has once again made headlines, but this time for all the right reasons. Vogue has officially announced that it will no longer feature new animal fur in editorial content or advertising. This, according to updated guidelines released by its parent company, Condé Nast. This comes as a big step taken by the conglomerate after years of backing fur fashion. The move comes as many major fashion houses and magazines shift towards ethical fashion driven by growing awareness of animal welfare and changing consumer values. Interestingly, Vogue's editor-in-chief, Anna Wintour, long known for her fondness for fur, has now aligned with this global shift. Back in 2005, Wintour famously made headlines after being hit with a tofu pie by animal rights activists. In past interviews, she defended the use of fur while noting the environmental trade-offs of fur alternatives. She also urged designers to focus on ethical sourcing, upcycling, and sustainability. But not just fur fashion, many brands have slowly moved towards complete veganism, eliminating animal products like beeswax, collagen, and carmine, moving towards plant-based ingredients like shea butter and coconut oil. With this decision, Vogue joins the likes of Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and Gucci, cementing the fashion industry's move towards a more conscious and cruelty-free future. With Sujata Sharda, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's all on this edition of India Today Global. But before we go, we leave you with these visuals of how Bollywood goes global. Janhvi Kapoor and Ananya Pandey turned heads at Paris Fashion Week, bringing a dazzling dose of Indian elegance to the international runway. Ananya made sure to make her appearance even special with Pedro Pascal, Jenny, and many more actors in the frame. Goodbye and take care.
Tata Capital.